Okay, in this lecture, I'm going to just briefly go over how to complete Word Worksheet 3-3-1. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you. Um, and so I'm going to go to Word Worksheet 3-3-1, and I'm going to download it. Let's open it up and figure out what we need to do with this. So with this worksheet, we are going to go through these steps, which we can also find in the Excel workbook that you have. So if you don't have your Excel workbook open, I'd encourage you to open it up, and you will find that once again, if you go home, um, you can go to Final Project and you can download your Unit 3 Excel workbooks under the Unit 3 datasets. And so I'll go ahead and open up one of those. I'll open, let's see here. Okay, so I've got my Unit 3 my Unit 3 Excel workbook right here. And then I've got my Word worksheet right here. And so they are both set up, ready for me to go. And specifically, the one that I'm going to open up is I'm going to go to this decision tree worksheet because that's going to be what it is that's going to help me to complete this worksheet. So what we're talking about is the margin of error around a proportion. Once again, a proportion is a part of the whole. And so we're really in this unit only talking about dichotomous proportions. So I'm not going to be looking at, hey, what's the proportion of multiple predictors? So yeah, looking at this really quick, for the individual who loses the presidential election before giving a concession speech and congratulating the winner, he will want to be sure that he actually lost. To do this, he takes a survey of 2,000 polling stations from around the country. 930 say that he won the election, while the other 1,070 say he lost the election. So the question is, just conceptually think about this question. What is he trying to do? He's trying to say, hey, did I really lose? Because I don't want to give a concession speech and say, hey, I lost if I didn't really lose. And so this is kind of a big deal. First thing, we're going to look at this. So we've got a four-step process: step one, step two, step three, step four. Step one, determine the proportion. So right here, there's a total of 2,000 polling stations, and 930 of them say that he won, and 1,070 of them say that he lost. So is there enough information to say that he has less than 50% of the votes? So if I were to do 930 divided by 2,000, I can just come right in here. So looking at this fun little this decision tree, I'm step one is, am I looking at a confidence interval around a mean, or am I looking at a confidence interval around a proportion? And we're looking for a confidence interval around a proportion. And so the reason why is because we're looking at 930 out of 2,000. And we're saying, are we sure that he lost? And how sure are we? So we're going to come to step two. So it's confidence interval around a proportion. Are we going to be looking at, hey, how large of a sample do I need? Or am I calculating the margin of error? In this case, I don't say, hey, how many people do I need to sample, or how many polling stations do I need to sample? I say, hey, you've got 930 that say that he's lost, or say that he's won. Well, 1,070 say that he's lost. Uh, so he took a survey of 2,000 of them. And so what we're going to do is we're going to calculate the proportion. We're going to put 930 for the number of successes out of 2,000. And so equals 930 divided by 2,000. And then the 95 percent for the desired confidence. Right here, we're going to put 1.96. Once again, this follows, if you look over here, 1.96, 1.645, 2.576. We're going to be using those same values right here. So depending on how much confidence you have, that's what you're going to put here. And then right here, this is the margin of error. And so we're going to do equals the z-score multiplied by the square root of the proportion multiplied by, don't forget the multiplied by, in parentheses, 1 minus the proportion. Okay. and you notice it covers it up, but you can still look right up here, divided by the sample size. So the sample size is 2000. And so the margin of error is 0.02. And this is the only thing that we are actually calculating. We're not calculating margin of error percent because this is literally in percentage form. And so what is the confidence interval? So the upper limit is going to be equals the proportion plus the confidence interval, or sorry, plus the margin of error, then equals the proportion minus the margin of error. Okay. And so what we have here is we can be 95% confident that the actual population proportion of individuals who voted for him is between 44% and 48.7%. Okay. And let's merge this. Let's merge all this. Okay. So that's the confidence interval. And so we need to interpret this. Should the candidate who lost give a concession speech or wait for more votes to come in? Right here, we're 95% confident that it's somewhere between here. And if you really wanted to get picky, um, we could calculate it and basically say, hey, the probability of it being under 50%, but that's not what we're doing right now. That's what we're going to be doing in unit 4. But right here, we're 95% confident that the actual population proportion is somewhere in here of the individuals that said that or of the polling stations that said that he was one. And so we're pretty confident that he lost. So as this entire confidence interval is below that 50% threshold, because if he's above 50%, then he's won. But this entire confidence interval is below 50%. We're pretty confident that he lost. So should the candidate who lost give a concession speech or wait for more votes to come in? I would say he can uh he can give the speech because the entirety of this confidence interval is below 50%. So we're very confident that he lost. So that's how you would do this first one. And then once again, you go down here and you do these 7 on your own and this right here. And then after you do this, you can complete uh, the quiz. So yeah.